The Amish are recognized as ones who stand alone and separate themselves from society. And if crap hits the fan, there are absolutely lessons we can learn from them and their lifestyle. Here in central Michigan, what most people don't know, we actually have a huge Amish population. In fact, it's one of the largest in the country. We always see them in their buggies and selling their wares. And there's all kinds of things they do that we can learn from them. So let's go ahead and see what they can do to teach us to be able to live independently. Number one, community. Community is certainly something we can all learn from. In fact, out of anything, I'm pretty envious as far as how they have their community and work together. Have you seen their barn raisings at the very least? How they get together and do things? I even saw a video where all the Amish got together and lifted up an entire barn and move it to a different location. Here, I can't even get somebody to come out and hire them to build a barn on my property. But the Amish have that community and they stick together and help each other out through everything. Certainly, number one, we can learn from this, especially if crap hits the fan. Number two, strict rules. Besides just religious rules, they have a whole host of rules that they actually follow. Their beard, dress, how they act and everything. And I think that's something we can learn from them too, especially in modern America where it seems like rules, more specifically laws, are being dismissed and people are going crazy. In your community, having rules and actually having repercussions for breaking those rules is essential. They actually have it so if you break the rules, they have repercussions immediately, even though they actually have some rules they're very lax on. And if you continue with these rule breakings, you actually will become banned from the group for a certain amount of time, days, weeks, months. And then eventually, if you keep it up, you'll be completely banned and shunned forever for the rest of your life. There's repercussions. Number three, hunters. The Amish are avid hunters. Some groups actually have the small guns for hunting like small game like squirrels and such. But when they actually go deer hunting, it's all archery, which is actually very cool. But besides that, they don't keep guns at all for anything that's actually going to be for defense. Not necessarily something we could live by. I think we should actually have them for defense. That's my own opinion. But they are so complete, strict, nonviolent pacifist that they made it so guns are not part of their world. If we could actually make that for the whole world and everybody was completely happy and never tried to kill each other in other ways, I'd be fine with that. But I don't know, outside the Amish, I think it's almost kind of like the real world. Having guns to be able to protect ourselves is actually something essential in our modern times. So there's a lesson we can learn, but not necessarily the way they do it, I think. How about you? What do you think about that? Number four, dress for success. They dress for success. I guess they actually dress for hard work, and that's exactly what they do. And it's not about fashion. Obviously, it's not about a fashion statement for them. They can wear colorful clothes, which are nice, but it's all about durable, sturdy clothes that can actually handle their hard workload. That's admirable. Alternate transportation. They walk a lot, use bicycles, and of course, as you probably already know, use horse and buggies for many things. To be able to rely on that is actually really neat. There's something I need you to know, though, that most people don't realize, and it depends on which group. Most of them are like this. They'll actually pay for somebody to drive them somewhere in their car. And for me and my family, we have a big family, there's 10 of us, we actually have one of those giant white vans, and I kid you not, we'll pull up somewhere like Walmart, and the Amish will come out and try to get in our van because they think we're their ride. I like that. It's smart because you don't get tied down to depending on your vehicle all the time, having to worry about gas prices and insurance and maintenance and such. You still prepare for horse and buggy, but if you really need to, just a little bit out of convenience, I suppose, you could hire somebody to take you places to get a lot of food and supplies. If crap hits the fan, you're already used to not using those vehicles all the time. But here in America, we're used to actually these vehicles all the time. So it's gonna be more difficult for us. For them, more used to their horse and buggies and bicycles and such. Number six, powered items. Now, depending on their sect, they can actually have power tools. I don't know if you know that. And it depends on the situation. Sometimes they even have generators to run them. Sometimes it's for business. Sometimes it can't be for business. I don't know their exact rules, but sometimes they do have power tools. And even more shocking, sometimes they actually have cell phones. Do you know that? And they often have it so they can't use it for certain things, especially even for business, but they can actually use it to call rides and such. But for them, even if they have power tools or if they have cell phones, I bet you anything they're not tied to it like we are. I'm okay being tied to power tools. I don't mind admitting that at all. Having the power tools makes my life easier, but if crap hits the fan, there's not going to be any more power. And they're actually used to using the hand tools as well. Cell phone, not being glued to all the time, that's a really good thing. So they definitely have one up on this one as well. Number 7, off-grid. Now they do sometimes use fuels like propane and liquid fuel and such, but that's actually definitely not the norm in certain circumstances. But that's actually what we're talking about off-grid. I don't know if you know it. Many, if not most Amish don't have Social Security cards. They don't even have birth certificates. What do they care? They all work with them themselves anyway. And I don't know how it works as far as paying taxes or not, but apparently they're so off-grid they don't even have those papers. There's many of us who dream for that. And furthermore, what's really crazy about the Amish is they don't use internet. Well, that's not the crazy part, but the crazy part is they'll actually pay somebody to do internet for them. Like if there's an Amish shop in town, they'll actually pay somebody to handle the internet for sales, handle the internet for advertising and everything else, and that way they don't have to do it at all. So delegating duty, I'm all for that. Number 8, homemade masters. I think most people know they are exceptional furniture makers, homemade item makers. And in this area, there's plenty of stores where you can buy their wares. And of course, they get good money for it too, for that work. Because, so many things in America has gone to junk, and you actually have to go to the Amish if you actually want something that's actually built with integrity or done very well. They put a lot of time and energy, and even more so pride in their work, which is really, really cool. But something else too that's really interesting is they actually make a lot of money from their stuff. It actually gets them to afford other things which are not homemade. Like for example, the Aldi we shop at actually has a limit on how much butter you can buy. And we're like, why is that? I mean, this was before the pandemic. Why is that? They said, oh, because the Amish will come in and buy it all. And we're like, really? It's just fascinating how they do things. But they pride on homemade stuff. And of course, the homemade stuff really earns them a lot of money, a really good living. And I wish it was still like that for all America, unfortunately, but it's not. Number 9, shop local. Yeah, and they do shop local. I mean, we went to an Amish bakery once, and they actually ordered their rennet from the next state over, Wisconsin. And I guess that's kind of neat they did that, but it was from another community there. But it's all about shopping local for them. And again, they will go to Aldi, they will go to Walmart and buy stuff there. But it's all about their own shopping with each other too, which helps bring pride. I mean, made in America, for us in America, we wish that was for everything, don't we? But they can almost have a sticker that says made by Amish. Actually, they probably do. And therefore, it actually makes it so it brings pride and money specifically in their community. There's all kinds of things we can do to not just buy from them, but they actually have like a chainsaw sharpening service. You can drop your chain off, they'll sharpen it. Or, if you want to have chickens or a cow and you don't want to butcher it, you can take it to them, they'll butcher it for you. And their prices are actually very reasonable for this because it's all done locally for them. It's definitely something we can admire and actually learn from. And number 10, home cooking. And for them, everybody eats at home. In our family, we do too, but they actually have huge families. In fact, they are huge potluck people. I don't know if you know that, but like once a week, once a month, often they'll get together and actually have these huge, massive potlucks. And of course, all their food is made from scratch. Well, except for maybe Aldi butter. But they do everything and they put it together, and it's got to be the healthiest. Well, maybe not carbs and stuff, but they actually do everything from scratch so you can eliminate all the preservatives and all that garbage. Something, again, we could absolutely learn from, because the art of making food from scratch has been lost drastically. All right, so there we go. There's the top 10 things we can learn from the Amish, and I'm sure there's more too, but there's things that we really could learn from, especially if crap hits the fan, that we can actually start steering our lives in that direction so we don't get in big trouble when that day comes. When that day comes, not necessarily if that day comes, you understand. But what about you? Do you know any experiences from the Amish of things they do? They actually have a lifestyle as far as the way they do things like that that's very admirable. But anyways, put stuff in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Go ahead and check out this next video, and let's continue with our prepping.